Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's going to be a fun day. Luckily, I am inside right now because it is extremely hot. It has been like all of 100 degrees here in Zone 7 in Oklahoma for us. We did break 100 this week, and it is, oh man, it is very hot. But there are still things that you can plant in the garden. So I am really excited to do this today. Hopefully, y'all can hear me. If let me know in the chat if y'all can hear me. Okay, I want to make sure that my mic over here is working. um, so I am really excited to be talking all about everything that you can be growing in July because even though it is super hot, there's still a lot that you all can do in the garden right now. And we've been out there starting a bunch of seeds ourselves, and I will be talking about those plants that we've been starting, but there's a lot of things out there that you can get starting regardless of how hot it is in some places. So I'm really excited to be talking all about this month. It is definitely a time that you are going to want to be planting in the morning or the evening and have that mosquito spray out, right? We try to avoid in the middle of the day going out in the garden, and especially in July because it can get extremely hot. But in the early morning hours and the evening time, it's really nice to go outside and get some sunlight in before it gets too hot. Um, so I am really excited that y'all are joining us. I see we have people joining us from everywhere. And oh my goodness, we have a lot of people with some really hot temperatures. Oh my gosh, 114. Yikes. I'm really sorry, Bonnie. Oh man. Wow. I thought that the 100s, like being barely 100 was bad, but I can't even imagine 114. Whew. That would be rough. So hopefully you can have some early morning times to go out there in your garden and take care of it and be planting and all of that. So I would love for you all to pop into the chat, hang out with us today. It is super fun. I love to see you guys in the chat, just hanging out and saying hi. Let us know where you're from and ask any questions that you might have throughout this live stream. And we'll be pulling up questions as we go through, and we'll be talking all about different plants that you can grow right now and different things that you can be doing out in the garden. So I look forward to seeing you all in the chat. Oh, and we are going to be doing a giveaway too. So make sure that you guys are in the chat because that is how you enter to win the giveaway. At the end of the giveaway, we're going to be giving away. Here, if you want to pull up the PowerPoint, I have the giveaway right there on the next slide. Right there. Yay. We have a 1-year free premium from Seed to Spoon app subscription, along with some warm season seeds from Park Seed and Smart Pot as well. So I am really excited. This is going to be an awesome bundle. I am really excited for you all. Hopefully we have a fun winner at the very end. So we'll be doing the winner announcement at the end. So make sure you guys stay tuned and comment over here in the chat box to be entered to win. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about different things that you can be growing right now. And I will say this is definitely not an all-inclusive list because there are a lot of things that you can be growing right now that I'm not necessarily going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about some of the things that we're doing, and then also some of the more common things that you can be starting in the summer. But for an all-inclusive list, you can look into our From Seed to Spoon app. So if you don't already have our From Seed to Spoon app, make sure you download it today. It is extremely helpful, but it will give you exact planting dates and it'll base that off of your location. So it'll pull up your closest weather station and, oh, thank you there. Look at that. It'll pull up your closest weather station and it'll say exactly what you can plant and when. So right here on that main screen, that dashboard right there, whenever you first pull it up, it'll show you the plant now. So you can scroll through and it'll tell you all of the plants that you can grow. Now you can see all of those plants right there. That is a lot of them. So you guys can be planting all of those still in July, which seems crazy, doesn't it? But you definitely can. There's a lot of things that you can go out there and plant, especially certain varieties. You can go through and get like the fast growing varieties, things like that. And it's going to be different for every location. So whenever you go in and download the app, make sure you look at that plant now section because it'll be customized exactly for you. Okay, so without further ado, let's talk about specific plants now. Okay, let's go. Yep, slide 3. Okay, so I want to talk about tomatoes first and foremost because tomatoes, I mean, everybody wants to grow tomatoes. And a lot of the times, like, this is the time to, like, if you have any tomato issues going on out there, it is not too late to get either restarted or if the season snuck up on you, like it did for me. I cannot believe that it is July already. If it snuck up on you, you can still get tomatoes in the ground and you can start them directly by seed outdoors. I will recommend, though, especially at this time of year, for more of the cherry or grape varieties, because those ones are a lot, like they'll mature a lot faster. So whenever you are starting these, make sure you put them along like a trellis, some sort of support, because they are going to be vining. And then these cherry tomatoes right here are going to be ones that are a lot faster. So typically within a few months, you will have a lot of harvest from them. Okay. And then next, I wanted to include zinnias. Zinnias are one of my favorites. And we actually just went out into the garden and planted a whole bunch of zinnia seeds just the other day because we were out there and clearing out a lot of our beds from a lot of the plants from our cool season and all of that. So, I mean, we still had things like that going on and weeds. And yeah, so we cleared out like an entire bed and we were like, what should we put in here? And we're like, let's plant a whole bunch of zinnias because it will be gorgeous, first of all, and it'll bring in a lot of pollinators and beneficial insects, and it'll be amazing. I absolutely love zinnias. So we did an entire bed of zinnias, which I'm super excited about. We had every variety of the Parks Picks zinnias, which are absolutely gorgeous, and they had like every single color. So I did like rows of certain colors and I was having fun. I kind of did like a rainbow theme as I went through. So I was like, ooh, this is going to look so cool. So I was really excited. But zinnias are something that is absolutely amazing to start now in July because you can still have flowers and blooms before your frost dates. And one of the amazing things about zinnias too is that the following year, if you let these at the end of the season, like go to seed and drop their seeds, the following year, you won't have to replant a lot of them. They will just, they will come back on their own. Like they'll come back as new plants, obviously, but they'll drop their seeds and those ones will come up. It's super amazing. I love it. So zinnias are an incredible thing to plant right now, and you can have them for many years to come too. So that's why I always recommend zinnia. It's never too late to plant them. And then, summer squash. So you definitely can't go wrong with adding more summer squash. I know we try to do a lot of different rounds of our zucchini because we have obviously battles with the squash vine borers and the squash bugs, just like everybody does, right? And so I try to do a lot of planting of these zucchinis throughout the season. So I am still starting zucchini seeds to this day. So going through and starting these, and I try to put them on like opposite sides of the garden if I can. And try to spread them out as much as I can. So if squash bugs do happen to find one, they don't find another. So I'm doing a lot of trying to hide my squash plants so that way I don't have to be battling as many squash bugs and squash vine borers, all of that. Um, I also, whenever we planted several of these, we put them underneath some insect netting at the beginning and let them kind of grow up a little bit until they started flowering. And then I removed the insect netting so that way pollinators could get in. But so far, it has been, knock on wood, but so far they've been doing amazing. And the squash vine borers and the squash bugs haven't found them yet. I'm gonna knock on wood again. But that's what I was hoping to be growing them up to a little bit like teenager size and trying to reduce the risk for the bugs to find them, especially as they were growing up, whenever they were really small. Um, it is definitely not too late to start zucchini because some of them are ready within 2 months, or yeah, so you can get these really quickly. It is amazing addition to any garden. There's all sorts of yellow squash, zucchini, they're all amazing. All the summer squashes are really good, and there's a lot of varieties too from Park Seed, and they actually have a 10 for 25 deal going on, as well as a bunch of 50% off seeds. So those are definitely, can you pop a link into the chat for those? Cool, thank you. And those, there's a lot of those seeds. I think there was like over 100 different seeds varieties that are in that sale. So it's definitely worth checking out because there's a lot of different varieties of a lot of the plants we're talking about today that are in that sale. So definitely something that you should try. Okay. Do we have any questions about summer squash before I move on, or no? Okay. Okay. Cucumbers. I love cucumbers. And these are something that we try to, again, very similar to zucchini, we try to do a kind of succession planting. Our first round of cucumbers did not do well because our chickens broke into our area and they got their hands on the young cucumber plants. So they did not do well. So we started another round of cucumbers. So we still have a couple of our cucumber plants that are doing okay. But we have some more cucumber plants now that are coming up and doing well. And so these are something, again, that you can get started pretty much at any time because they are super fast to harvest. Again, these are going to be ones that you want to use a trellis for, at least most varieties. There are some, Park Seed does have I think it's called patio cucumber, which is quite a bit smaller that you can put into a container if you want to, like on your porch and grow cucumbers that way. So you don't necessarily need to have like a huge trellis for them. But for us, like we're growing we have it up against a cattle panel and we have just that cattle panel laying on its side and we have a bunch of cucumber plants growing along it. So this is definitely something that we love to grow pretty much at any time in the summer. We get these started and it is something that you can grow really fast. They tend to be very prolific. So it's something that is very, it's really great to add if you are having any issues with any plants. It'll make you feel a little bit better by having a bunch of cucumber. You'll have a bunch of something. Awesome. I'm so glad. Thanks to Sab, I was able to plant all my cucumbers in late May. Terrific. Yes. I'm so happy for you. Oh, great. I'm planting some more mini me cucumbers today. They're so cute. I love it. I'm really excited. I'm growing mini me cucumbers for the first time today, or not today. I'm growing them this year for the first time. I'm really excited to try them. It was one that we started probably like a week ago. So like I said, we're still starting a lot of things by seed, so it is not too late. But yeah, I'm really excited about the mini me cucumbers from Park Seed because those ones, they looked so cute. I'm really excited to try them. I love cucumbers, so I can't wait to try them. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. Bugs killed cucumbers. Yes. So it's definitely going to be a battle with a lot of different pests for a lot of these plants that we're talking about. Um, so you're probably talking cucumber beetles, because cucumber beetles are, at least for me, the main pests for cucumbers. And if you've ever tried those yellow sticky traps before, they are actually they're super easy. All I do is just remove the cover on both sides and hang it up next to your cucumbers on the trellis, and it can really, really help a lot. And I'm assuming that it was cucumber beetles. If you see a different bug on there, if you have our app, make sure you check out, because there's a place where you can identify what's going on too. So if you take a picture of it, you can send it to Growbot and see what pest it is as well. Okay, how do you know the difference between watermelon, cucumbers, and cantaloupe? Okay, so I'm going to recommend Growbot for here as well, because on the main page there's a Growbot section for identify plant. You can just tap that and take a picture of the leaves and send it in. That's going to be the easiest way for you to identify. I mean, really, they do look extremely similar. Once they start fruiting, obviously you will know the difference a little bit better. But I would definitely recommend snapping a picture of it and sending it over to Growbot. Okay, so do you have a list of what can be direct sown now? So, yeah, pretty much everything that we're talking about today is something that you can get started right now. And then in the app as well, on that Plant Now section, if you were here in the very beginning, we showed that briefly. But on the main screen of the app, if you go on our From Seed to Spoon app, and you on the main dashboard, you'll see a Plant Now. So those are all things right there that you can start by seed outdoors right now. So that's another area that you can look. Okay, so are you planning on having info on plant diseases in the app? Love the app. Awesome. Thank you, Cheryl. So yes, but our first iteration of this was Growbot help. So by taking a picture for plant help, you can send it over to Growbot, and Growbot can help identify first what's going on, and then it'll give you tips on how to handle it, how to treat it, and all of that. So I know it's helped me a lot for myself as well, taking pictures of my tomatoes and things like that whenever there's issues going on with them. So that's definitely what I would recommend checking out too. Oh, great. This is a great suggestion from Todd. I surround my cucumber plants with marigolds, basil, and onions. That's terrific. Yes, companion planting is your best friend, especially in the summer with all of the pests that are out. Um, Definitely. I mean, marigolds and basil, onions, those are all amazing companion plants. Highly recommend them. Thanks, Todd. Okay, and I definitely needed to mention melons. So this is something that you can still grow, especially if you are doing those smaller varieties. Now, it might be a little late to be starting from seed those really large varieties. But with the watermelons, if you have the smaller ones, you can definitely be starting those by seed, especially these ones right here. It'll be within like 3 months, 2 to 3 months for most of the smaller varieties too. And for the person who was asking about the leaf differences between all the different ones, like you can kind of see a little bit of the difference here in these images right here, from this melon right here. So that's it. There's a few key differences if it's not fruiting yet. Of course, had to mention basil. Just like Todd brought up earlier, basil is amazing to grow right now, and not just for as a companion plant. Of course, it is an amazing companion plant, especially for things like tomatoes and peppers, but it is also super amazing for eating purposes. I absolutely love the taste of like pesto, and we add this fresh into a lot of our pastas, things like that. I mean, it's honestly like there's so many things that you can do, and so many health benefits also to eating it. It's an amazing addition. Comes to You can harvest it super fast, and it is also incredibly beautiful too. And towards the end of the season, it'll start to almost flower at the end of it, and it is so pretty. It brings in all sorts of pollinators and the bees and butterflies. They all love basil. So basil is definitely something that I highly recommend doing, especially if you have some lonely tomatoes hanging out. Plant some basil next to them, because it will help not only repel certain pests, but it'll help to improve the flavor of the tomatoes too, which is awesome. So it's definitely something to be adding to your garden for sure if you don't already have it. And there's a whole bunch of different varieties of basil. I know if you guys have watched pretty much any of our live streams, you know that my favorite basil is cinnamon basil. But there's a lot of different basil varieties. There's the large leaf basil. I mean, we're growing an entire tower right now of just like a lot of different varieties of basil is in there, and I love it. So it is definitely something to look at adding pretty much to any garden. Okay, sunflowers, of course. I No list is going to be complete with that for the summer without including sunflowers. And for us, sunflowers tend to just grow wild where we are, and we're battling them in the garden all the time, which is an amazing problem to have. I love it. So if we accidentally miss a few in the garden, like they just pop up, and I'm like, well, they're incredibly beautiful, so I'm okay with it. Um, but sunflowers are also another amazing addition to your garden, and they will help to bring in lots of pollinators and beneficials, and they can like they'll fully bloom for you within a couple months. So that way, and then they'll also have a bunch of seeds too, so you can harvest those seeds, you can eat them. They taste incredible. If you haven't ever tried it, you definitely need to try it, because it's a lot different than the store bought sunflower seeds. Way different. You will be so surprised. But you can also eat it. You can let the birds eat it. You can let them go to seed, drop seeds for next year. There's a lot of different things that you can do for the sunflowers, and there's something that it's super pretty, beautiful. I love it. And like there's a bunch of different varieties too. Like they have like the little dwarf ones, then there's also the huge ones. There's a lot. So definitely check it out. So okra. So okra is another thing that can grow in the heat of the summer. It's amazing. It is something that will take pretty much any heat for you. So if you are having like the 100-degree temperatures, like several of us seem to be having, and okra is the thing for you to grow. It is really great. Most varieties will be ready within some of them within 50 days. So almost like a month and a half to 2 months. It's pretty amazing. So okra you'll want to grow, and then um, you want to harvest them whenever they're small. So you can kind of see in this picture a little bit how I would say that one on the bottom is actually pushing it on size. So you want to harvest them when they're really small, because they will be less fibrous. They'll be they'll taste a lot better. But that being said, like you can definitely still use them once they get bigger, and you can put them in soups, gumbo. I mean, there's so many options, but honestly, okra tastes amazing, like just straight out of the garden. Like we were just like picking them and just eating them because they just taste that good. It's It's hard to describe, but it does. It tastes really great. And okra is something that can handle the heat really well. So if you are looking for something to grow right now, okra is definitely good for you. Now it will grow really tall. So you want to make sure that you have a lot of space for it. But it doesn't really grow super wide, but it is just more tall than anything. Um, so I really definitely recommend okra for a lot of people. Okay, and then bush beans, I wanted to say. So, and along the same idea, I will mention so not just bush beans, but things like southern peas as well, which are like the same idea. So we do a lot of beans in the summer, and once it gets too hot, so depending on where you are, if you are in like 100-degree heat, you will probably want to be starting southern peas over bush beans. But if you are in like 90s and below, you can still be doing a lot of bush beans. But we have a lot of bush beans going right now. Even though it is really hot, we had them planted like about a month ago or so. But we'll be starting more rounds of bush beans here. Like as soon as we're done with 100 degrees, we'll start doing more bush beans. But bush beans are pretty fast, and the great thing about them, as opposed to pole beans, is you don't really need a trellis or anything like that. I mean, they will grow real big and give you a bunch of beans all at once. So, but this is something that I would definitely be recommending to do, and do them in like succession plantings, because I do that all the time. Like I will start a bunch of beans, and then I'll give it like a couple weeks, and then I'll plant a bunch more beans, and then I'll give it a couple weeks, plant a bunch more. So that way, if it does, like if we do have like a random hot spurt or something along those lines, you can, you know, it's not the end of the world if you lose a couple because you have more. So I like doing them in succession planting like that. And also that way they aren't all ready at the same time, because I want to be able to eat these. So I definitely, I definitely want to be doing that. Let's see. How do you fertilize your bush beans? I have a lot of leaves, but not much fruit. So typically, we don't fertilize our bush beans. I mean, because they typically handle themselves really well. I mean, we do give them compost before we do plant them out. We just freshen up the soil, add some fresh compost, and that's all we really do for bush beans. Yeah, we don't ever really do anything special. Okay, do beans slow down during the heat? So, yes, this is kind of what I was talking about. So, if you are like really, really hot, you may not want to be growing bush beans right now. You would want to be growing southern peas instead. But bush beans, you can still be growing, like especially up north, some even in the center of the country, you can probably still be planting bush bean. It really just depends on your temperatures. But if it is too hot, I would recommend doing southern peas. But a little bit cooler, you can still be planting bush beans. Like I said, we've been planting a lot of bush beans, and we'll be planting more even in the weeks to come as well. And then nasturtiums. So nasturtiums are actually like one of my new favorites to grow in the summer. We hadn't grown a lot of them before this year. I had had maybe like one or two, and they had never really done well because I had gotten them as transplants. But I actually grew several different varieties from seed this year, and they did really good. They were huge and beautiful and had all sorts of flowers on them. Loved them. So I recommend nasturtiums now to like everybody. I'm like, oh, check out nasturtiums because they're gorgeous. And there's several different varieties at Park Seed that are really unique and beautiful. Like there's some that bush, and then there was some that vine. So we have several that are like vining along some trellises, and like next to all of our like tomatoes and things like that. And they're so pretty. But they're really good companion plant. They do work as a trap crop as well. So some pests they will attract to them to protect your other plants. And some pests they will help to repel. So they work in both ways. They'll also attract in beneficial insects, and they're a relatively fast really grower. I mean, 4 to 6 weeks you can see. So they will start blooming for you really fast. So it is definitely not too late to be adding in more nasturtium. I'm definitely going to be planting more nasturtiums here very soon. Ooh, this is great advice from Harry. So file the side of nasturtium seeds with a nail file or something to increase the germination speed. Love that advice. That's terrific. I will try that too. Thank you. Okay, so that was my list of the plants. Like I said, that was not the all encompassing list of summer plants. That was the top plants. And then there are so many different ones that you could be growing right now. And check out too in our app the list of the plant now, and you will see all of the plants that you can plant now. And it's a lot of them that you can still be growing, and I would highly recommend doing them in the morning or the evening before it gets too hot. We're going to go through and answer a couple questions if we have a couple more questions, and then we're going to do the giveaway as well. And this one is going to be really good. So we're doing a giveaway for a 1 year free premium from Seed to Student app subscription. So with this, you can go through and log unlimited plants in your garden, as well as ask unlimited questions to Growbot, send Growbot pictures of plants having issues, identify plants, pests, things like that. Also, the 1 year premium subscribers get free shipping on all of their orders through the app from Park Seed. So it's amazing. So you'll get that. And sorry, I forgot to update the screen. So you'll also be getting some warm season seeds from Park Seed, as well as going back. There we go. Yes. And then also Smart Pot, which will be awesome. So it is an awesome bundle. So make sure you guys stay tuned. So if you guys have any other questions, please post them in the comment section. That's how you guys get entered to win. And we're going to go through and answer a few questions before we go through and do the giveaway. Okay, so Norm wants to know, can basil share a pot with tomato? For sure. I will say it depends on the size of the pot, first of all, too. But I plant basil all the time with tomatoes. I try to put tomatoes into a fairly large pot, so that way I can put like a basil, marigold, nasturtium, something along those lines next to the tomatoes. And as long as you have enough space for it in there, for sure, plant some basil along with your tomato. Okay, I would like to know what mulching does to help and what should and shouldn't be mulched. Okay, so I will say mulching does a lot of benefits, especially in the summer. It will help to retain some moisture in for your plants, so that way you're not having to worry about watering so much. It'll also help regulate the temperature and of the plants, because their temperature sensors are down in their roots. So anything you can do to keep those roots cooler during this super hot temperatures are the best thing to do. And they will do a lot better for you. Pretty much I mulch everything except really lettuce. And that's not, I will say that's not because lettuce wouldn't benefit from it. It definitely would. It just makes it a little bit harder for us to harvest at the end, because we do a lot of leaf lettuces. So going through and harvesting, and we like to plant really dense as well whenever we're doing lettuces. So going through and harvesting with mulch is a little bit more difficult, and it's hard to mulch like in between and around, because we like to plant lettuce like pretty dense. But pretty much everything else I'm going through and mulching. So we have like all of our tomatoes and peppers and things like that. Like all of those things are mulched for us. Best method to deter squirrels. Okay. So, oh no, I'm so sorry. They're destroying all of her Oh man, they destroyed your lemon. I'm sorry. And sunflowers. Oh yeah, squirrels can be the worst. We have been battling them ourselves too, because honestly, like a fence does nothing for them. I feel like with everything else, it's like, oh, build a fence, but squirrels, no. So there's a few things that you can do for squirrels. You can do a motion activated sprinkler. That's always my favorite advice to do for things like that because it will sense movement and then it'll start squirting erratically water everywhere and it'll scare them away. So you can put that like next to your lemon tree and hopefully protect that lemon tree. There's also like sonic repeller things that you can put in the ground. There's a lot of things like that. But check out the app because on in the app there is a pest section for all of these common garden pests where we give advice as well for different things like that. Different pests and all of that. So you can find all the pests on the main screen at the very top. There's a I think it's called pests or critters. It's called something like that. On the main screen, you can do that. I'm in 9B. Is it too hot to start some radishes now? Yes, I would definitely say it is probably too hot for you to start radishes. Radishes are more a cool season and they do not thrive in the heat. I would give it a little bit of time before you start radish again. Um, Unless you are just simply growing it as a companion plant and not to eat because you wouldn't want to eat and they would not taste good right now. But yeah, it's going to be too hot for radishes now. I'm sorry. Okay, can you still plant eggplant seeds or is it too late? So, yes, you can still plant eggplants. There are certain varieties too that are faster than others. There's like patio varieties. But yes, eggplant definitely could have made this list. It is definitely one that you can still start in most all areas. Do zinnias start well from direct seeding? Yes, for sure. Zinnias are probably one of my favorite things to direct seed because I literally just toss out the seeds and they grow so easily. And like I said too, like at the end of the season, they'll drop their seeds too and they plant themselves for the next year. So they do amazing direct seeding. One of the easiest things that I can recommend. Um, I just put a reel out. I think it was yesterday too. So if you guys are following our Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that, I put a reel out just showing how I plant zinnias, and it was literally just sprinkling it in a row, sprinkle, sprinkle. And I mean, it was that simple, and we're gonna have a lot of zinnias from that. Okay, when is considered planting squash late? So, um, I mean, you can look at the direct questions in the From Seed to Spoon app for the direct dates. Sorry, for the direct dates right there. But what I would do is look on your pack to see how long it takes for it to fruit. So days to harvest is what you're looking at, and then you can count back from the last frost to make sure that you are including enough time for it to grow and to harvest. So, if you do that, you need to also add in like sprouting times, things like that. But that's why the app makes it so much easier because the app will have exact planting dates there for you, and it'll include all the way up to through fall. So it'll give you when you can still start them at the very end of the date. Okay, are southern peas the same as cow peas? Um, um, yes, yes, you are correct. Thank you, Dale. Um, yes, I mean I always call them southern peas myself or black eyed peas. I mean there's lots of names. So yes. Okay, I have one huge cucumber on my plant. Will it produce more? That's awesome. Hopefully, it should produce more. It may just be a little bit slow to start, but I would go ahead and harvest that one cucumber. And the more you harvest too on things like that, the better it will go because you're encouraging it to grow more. Same with beans and things like that. So the more you harvest from it, the more it will produce. Um, and I would also recommend, probably if it's huge, I would recommend pulling it now. I typically don't let cucumbers get too large because they'll be a lot tastier whenever they're smaller. So very similar to zucchini as well. I like to harvest those when they're a lot smaller too. Just the taste is a lot better. Okay, how often do you fertilize your watermelon and cantaloupe? So typically, whenever I'm starting them by seed, so I'll do it at that time, and then typically like every 3 to 4 weeks after that. And you can use we just use a lot of Espoma fertilizer. You can use that. I mean, there's a lot of different options out there, but we really like Espoma because it's an all organic option. Um, it's definitely something to be using. Okay, I have two identical pots in identical locations with identical soil. One is growing nasturtiums and ice plants, and the other just barely sprouted the ice plants. Plants are huge in one and not the other. Interesting. I mean, I don't know. That's very interesting. Do they have the same amount of sun for both of them? I mean, that's the only difference that I could see, maybe. But I would send a picture because I do think I recognize your name. I think you have Growbot, the premium. So check out the like send a picture to Growbot and ask it what's wrong and see what ideas that Growbot comes up with because that is very interesting right there. Okay. Yvette says, is mulching useful for grow bags? I heard yes, but local extension teacher said it wasn't needed in 7B. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would say it makes a huge difference, especially with retaining moisture in all of those. 100%. I fertilize all of my smart pots and everything. I mulch all of my smart pots and have them all. I care for them just like I would like in the ground and in raised beds, all of that. Okay, what is the best way to support spaghetti squash as the squash gets larger? So are if you're growing this as like along a trellis or something along those lines, that's kind of my guess by this question. Um, you could do things like pantyhose. I've seen that being used. There's also like melon cradles and things like that that you can get. Um, yeah, there's different things like that, but pantyhose is the easiest like DIY thing that you can do, and you can get those like from a dollar store probably and do that. And so I would recommend that. Okay, can you grow carrots in zone 7B in July or wait until August? Southern Virginia, we hit 101 last week. Whew, yeah, so I would wait on the carrots because the carrots are not going to taste great if you grow them in this heat. So I would wait until August personally and then try to either plant them in like part shade, maybe even something along those lines. And whenever I'm planting out carrots by seed, I typically put like burlap over top of them and kind of and water in the burlap as well. And that'll help to retain moisture. It'll help protect it from like birds and things like that. But it'll help it to retain moisture a lot because carrots can kind of take a while to germinate. So I typically do a lot of burlap and try it and underneath a little bit of shade. Okay, how do I fertilize around my zucchini plants? The leaves are so huge, I can hardly get down and around them. I know those zucchini plants can get huge, especially the leaves, and then they get scratchy too. So I know what you mean. It's kind of hard to get around in there. I mean, really, just do what you can. It does not have to be perfect. So I just, do as much as I can up and around it. I mean, the roots get pretty large on a large plant like that. So I try my best just to work it in there and get as much in as I can. Okay, so I'm told that we are doing the winner now. We're going to do the giveaway, and then we're going to answer in a few more questions after that. But we're going to go ahead and announce the winner. Okay, who do we have as a winner? Carrie Holt. Congratulations. Hey, I like your name. Congratulations, Carrie. Email us at info@seedtospoon.net. You have won a free 1-year premium from Seed to Spoon app subscription, along with the Smart Pot and some warm season seeds from Park Seed. You get a lot of stuff, so it's going to be amazing. Congratulations, Carrie. Okay, so we will go through and answer a few more questions, and here we go. I tried some marigolds as a companion and they didn't do well. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. Um, hmm. I don't know. My marigolds have always done really well and not needed a lot of extra. Um, I mean, if you planted them maybe a little too early and they got too cold, or didn't quite keep them watered enough, maybe in the heat, I don't know. I would just recommend trying again. I mean, I didn't include marigolds on the list today, but I could have. So I would definitely recommend trying again. Just keep trying. Practice makes perfect, right? Okay, so I had some raspberry bushes. This is their 4th year. Never had fruit. What can I do to promote fruit growth? So I would recommend. Are you? Hopefully, you're fertilizing. I would definitely recommend a fertilizer. Espoma has a fertilizer that is directly for like fruits and berries. I think I can't remember what it's called, but it's one of those. Berry Tone. Thank you. Berry Tone, and it is one that we use a lot on our fruit plants. So just like this. So I would definitely recommend fertilizing with the berry tone, and then make sure it's getting enough sun. And maybe it's not getting enough sun to fruit. Um, those are just some ideas. Hopefully that helps. Okay, can mini cantaloupe and watermelon hang on a trellis without breaking off? Yeah, for sure. We've actually done this ourselves. We actually had a watermelon plant. Now it was the mini watermelons, as you said, on a cattle panel arch trellis. It was really cool. And we had watermelons growing all along. So you might just need to add a little bit of support. I think several of them were okay and didn't even need support. It kind of just depends on the size of the fruit and how strong it is. But it's definitely able to do. And like I said, try the pantyhose trick too if they need some support. Okay, should I direct sow fall crops into raised beds now in zone 6B Colorado? So I'd say it kind of depends on what the temperatures are up there right now. I'm not sure what the temperatures are like up there. I'm jealous that you're in Colorado, though. So hopefully it's a lot nicer weather than it is here right now. But there are several things that you can start by seed right now for sure. I would just check your app, because the From Seed to Spoon app will tell you exactly for your location what you can start and when. So it'll let you know if it's too early to start your fall crops, or if you can go ahead and get started now. So you can check that out. Okay, can I pull my aging tomato plant, hang it up, and have the remaining tomatoes ripen elsewhere while I use their bed space for new plants? Yeah, for sure. You can also just put it on the counter too. We've done it before. I mean, a lot of the times these tomatoes will ripen on your kitchen counter. Sometimes we've pulled off a lot of like green tomatoes before, like right before a freeze, and you can put them in like paper bags, things like that. We'll try to encourage them to ripen faster. But yeah, you can do a lot of that on your counter. Yeah. Okay, so crop rotation. So specifically pulling garlic. What do you recommend that I plant now in that raised bed? So I would say, I mean, the best advice that I can give you is just to not plant the exact same thing in the bed that you planted last. So, and I avoid the same families too. So if I had um, like a broccoli there before, I'm not going to go through and plant like a Brussels sprout then the next season. I'm going to try and rotate around families as well. And if you're not familiar with families, there is a section in the app. So if you are looking at planting, like garlic, you can go through on garlic and you can pull up the family that garlic is in and in the app. So it's in the plant details section. And then you can go through and see what else you want to plant and just make sure that it is not in that same family. And then you'll be good to go. Everything else would be good. Okay. Ha, I love it. Disposable face masks work great to hold melons on trellises too. That is a terrific point. I love it. I love it. That's definitely something we need to try. Okay, I've pulled my sweet peas and turnips. What is a good crop to plant where they were? Yeah, we actually just pulled our turnips like a week ago or so, and they were amazing. We hadn't grown a lot of turnips before it, and it had been a couple years, and I love them. What we did in that area is we did some cucumbers along the back trellis, and then we have some beans in there as well. Pretty much anything that's just not in that same family, you can go through and plant. I actually did a row of cosmos as well, so you can do flowers too. But yeah, I planted a lot of things over there. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. This was super fun and definitely makes me want to go out there and plant a lot of things out there. And I've just gone through and planted a lot of things by seed already, but I have more space, so I'm going to go out there and plant more. Hopefully you guys will be too. And I do want to mention, if you guys haven't already, make sure you check out our app and check out Growbot, especially the new feature where you can send pictures to it. It has been saving my life on so many things. I see all these bugs out there, I'm like, what is this bug? I take a picture of it and I'm like, oh, it's a good one. Oh, oop, it's a bad one. I need to get rid of it. So it's super helpful on things like that, or identifying if I have a weed or if this was actually the plant I grew, and any sort of diseases, like all of that. We're going to be having a lot of new exciting improvements coming up as well. Things like saving Growbot's responses over to your plant notes. So if you do have any issues with your plant, you can now just hit like save note and it'll go over to the plant that it applies to. So that way you can remember like what happened when to certain plants. And I am going to be we also have a new one too of where you can take a picture of a seed packet that you have as well and create a custom plant just directly from that. So you don't have to go through and type in all of your information for a custom plant anymore. So if the plant isn't in the app, you can just go through and just take a picture of it to Growbot and it'll automatically plug in all of the information for you. So I'm really excited for that. And we have a great list of people who are helping out in the goats. Oh, yep, I have some goats in the background, don't I? Yep. Oh, we have Eric and Casper. I don't know where the others are, but yeah, they're doing yard work for us out there while we're working. So they're helpful, aren't they great? um, So we have a list of some great people who have been helping us out by testing Growbot originally, and we're going to give those people some access to be testing some of these new features that I just talked about too. And so I will be emailing you guys. And if you guys want to be if you guys want to help test some of these things that are coming really soon, send us an email also, and we will get you set up as well. And congratulations again to Carrie. And here is the email right here, info@seedtospoon.net for Carrie to email us. Or if you want to be doing the, oh, interesting. If you want to be part of our testers, email us too. That's very interesting that Crowbot is responding in Spanish. I haven't heard that before. Yeah, email us, Kayla. That's very interesting. Let's see what we can figure out. So send me an email at info@seedtospoon.net, and we will chat about why Growbot is talking to you in Spanish. So thank you all so much. Oh, awesome. Great. Yeah. Send me an email at info@seedtospoon.net, and we will get you set up. So that way you have early access to these new fun features. They'll be exciting. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This was a super fun talk. I loved it. And hopefully we will see you all again, same time, same place next week. And, yeah, if you're not already following us here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, we're all places. So make sure you join all of us then. And hopefully you all have a fantastic 4th of July. Hopefully you guys get a long, enjoyable weekend. So we will see you all next week. Bye.